Well, I slept something like 14 hours last night. I'm not tired now exactly, but I'm definitely a little bit loopy and my muscles and stuff are definitely very, very worn out and glad to have a rest. I did lose power sometime in the middle of the night, probably around 3 a.m., so it got a little chilly. Fortunately, the refrigerator I'm using is an AC/DC refrigerator, so it automatically falls over to the battery, so it kept my food nice and cold. I just had to use lots of blankets and some hand warmers to keep myself warm. I have a feeling this is going to be a recurring issue because the breaker was also tripped when I got here. I'm going to probably start by just replacing the breaker. Maybe it's just an old bad breaker. There's a lot of very old things on this property, so the hope is if we replace the breaker with the new one, it will work. That's also the hope simply because it's the easiest possible thing that it could be, and anything else probably involves, I don't know, digging up cables that are underground or something horrendous. So we're going to hope it's the easy thing. Progress today has been pretty slow, which is okay. There's not really any more time crunch anymore. Nothing has to be done by any particular time. Been up for 5, 6 hours now, and so far I've had some coffee, a bowl of oatmeal, and spent a long time copying files off my phone onto the laptop so I can edit them. I'm working now on this design for a little sleeping structure. This is a H4 hexayurt. I did not come up with this design. I found it online. It's why I bought a bunch of foam. What I'm trying to work out here is the finer details of construction before I start going in and cutting things. If we zoom in here and look, what are we looking at? You'll see, for example, that the roof here at the top, when I have the other side on here, there's going to be this big V here. It's just going to channel rain right in. But the fix for that is not trivial. If you want the roof to peaks to connect here, you end up having to make everything else a little bit shorter. And so it's sort of a lot of playing around with deciding where do you want to bevel things and where do you want to do gap filling. And the more you make the pieces all fit together exactly, the more complicated the building gets, and also the smaller it gets. You're doing fancier cuts and you're removing more material in order to get that perfect fit. When I assemble mine, I'm going to be using Gorilla Glue for the pieces, and that's a really good gap filler. And so I'm going to try to balance between beveling edges to make sure things are small enough that this roof piece will fit on, but also not going overboard and making my cuts too complicated. Instead, for the roof, I'm going to gap fill in it, and then to prevent the water from getting in, there'll also be waterproof covering glued over top of that. So that's how I'll deal with that channel. Today was day 9, and it was my first day of quarantine after arriving here. I was as careful as I could be getting here, washing my hands, wearing rubber gloves when I was shopping or getting gasoline or doing other things like that where I had to contact objects other people had touched. But even if I was perfect, which I definitely was not, still is a chance I could have caught something. So I'm going to be in a little bit of a quarantine here until we see how I fare. but it was a pretty nice day overall. It was raining off and on, so I basically just hung out in my little work shed and did computer tasks all day. Did some video editing and then did design work for what is going to be my next structure. It's going to be down in the 30s at night next week, and so I want to make sure I have a nice cozy place to sleep, even if I lose power in the middle of the night.